What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Seahawks defensive end Frank Clark, which just so happens to be a big position of need for the Patriots. Lately, there has been some very crazy talks, involving the Seattle Seahawks in general. You have their star defensive end Frank Clark, you have their star quarterback Russell Wilson, just so much going on with them, but obviously today we're going to just be talking about Frank Clark. So pretty much rumors are spreading around the NFL grapevine that the Seahawks defensive end could possibly see a new team and end up getting traded. Now, while nothing is set in books, nothing is for sure, nothing is set, nothing has totally come out and been like, yo, we are definitely shopping this guy, we are trying to get him out of Seattle, there has been what is said to be a good amount of indication. Things have started to die down a little bit with this potential rumor, but it has not died down completely, and it is still a fairly hot topic of discussion. Pretty much what their purpose for trading Clark would be is that they're trying to get quarterback Russell Wilson signed to a long-term deal. That is their main goal. That is what they're trying to do. Again, a lot of things circling around with Russell Wilson, maybe not even wanting to be a Seattle Seahawk anymore. So what they're really trying to do is get Russell Wilson signed long-term. And with $17 million in cap devoted to the defensive end, the Seahawks could free up plenty of money in order to actually sign Russell Wilson, especially as Wilson's cap number for 2019 currently sits at $25 million. It also is reported that there has been several teams that called the Seattle Seahawks about trading for Clark last year, and they actually called again before the 2019 free agency actually started. The Seahawks now pretty much have to decide whether or not they want to get the value for Clark, try to get some more draft picks, because as you know, the Seahawks do not have much draft picks whatsoever. If you guys know Dear Pats Nation, my boy Ray, he has talked about a potential trade involving those draft picks that the Patriots could make with the Seattle Seahawks. And that kind of comes back to this, that they could also trade him, one, in order to free some money and get their quarterback actually signed long-term, as that is obviously more important than the defensive end, but also get some more draft capital and help rebuild their team. So the big thing is pretty much deciding on whether they want to try to get that value for him, or if they want to keep him for 16 more games, which if you look at his contract, he would be making more than $1 million per game. Clark is a dominant defensive end, and he's a young one at that. I mean, he is 25 years old, has a great build. He's 6'3", 273 pounds, and was selected in the 2015 draft, so still fairly recent. Clark is also entering the final year of his contract, so basically if any team does, I'm not just going to regard this to the Patriots, but if any team does trade for him, they will get him for 1 year before he becomes a free agent. And that's something we've seen a lot with the Patriots. The Patriots love to do this thing where they trade for players, but they trade for players that are on the last year of their contract. It's just something that they do. And with that being said, his base salary for 2019, again, is around $17 million. So the Patriots would be really eating up a lot of money here. So, that's going to be a very diverse thing, of something that a lot of fans are going to be like, that's worth it. A lot of fans are going to say that's not worth it. And then there's going to be those fans that say, dude, you're stupid. It's the Patriots. They're not going to trade for someone that's taking up that much money. To that, I will say, not true. We've already seen this offseason the Patriots willing to, make these moves, even if it means giving a player more money than they usually give. I mean, giving Adam Humphries $10 mil plus a year, I mean, that wasn't like the Patriots, but yet they were still trying to, pursue him, give him this money that really no one expected because they knew they needed him. Believe it or not, the Patriots do need help on this defensive line. Now, more specifically, they do need help when it comes to that defensive tackle position more, but they do still need help at defensive end. Yes, they, didn't get to retain Trey Flowers this offseason, and then they replaced him with Michael Bennett. And obviously, that's equivalent or possibly even an upgrade from Trey Flowers, not age-wise, but pretty much every otherwise. But another thing to keep in mind is they also ended up releasing defensive end Adrian Claiborne. And, it wasn't something that necessarily was going to hurt the Patriots terribly, but as of now, they do not have a guy that can necessarily replace the pressure that Adrian Claiborne gave. I already know there's going to be people in those comments saying, yo, what the heck are you talking about? They got guys like Derek Rivers. And to that I have to say, I don't have anything against Derek Rivers, but they have been giving him more chances, and he has not proved to me, at least enough yet, that he can come in and just apply great pressure, be a decent run stopper. Because if he did show that, then he would have taken a bigger role. I think Derek Rivers, with time, has the potential to be something better, but as of now, he's not a guy that you go, he can replace someone like Adrian Claiborne. So the Patriots adding Frank Clark would be able for them to, one, fill a void, and two, not necessarily have to look to the draft for that position higher up. Now, I do think either way, even if they did trade for Frank Clark, that they would still need to address defensive end at some point in the draft, just because Frank Clark, again, is a free agent at the end of this season, and you truly don't know if you're going to get him signed. If I would bet my odds against it, I would say they didn't, and you would only have him for 1 year. But you could get a defensive end then later in the draft and put other things at more of a priority, such as wide receiver or, offensive tackle if that's where you want to go. I mean, you look at this guy's stats, and the guy is a beast. Now, something I want to say before I get into his stats a little bit is that he was also on the same team as Patriots' new defensive end, Michael Bennett. So there is a relationship there too. But last season, Frank Clark had 13 sacks. Along with that, he had 10 tackle for losses, along with 27 quarterback hits. The year before that, he had 9 sacks to go with another 10 tackles for loss and 21 quarterback hits. The year before that, he had 10 sacks with 11 tackle for losses and 18 quarterback hits. So with this guy, the Patriots could finally get some consistency. You're going to get that with Michael Bennett, but you can't rely on just one guy, because ultimately Michael Bennett is then a guy who is going to get double teamed. So if you can't, double team both Frank Clark and Michael Bennett, two very dominant, two of the best defensive ends in the NFL, arguably, and that would really help the Patriots pass rush just so well. And you combine that Patriots elite pass rush, if they were to get Frank Clark, along with that elite secondary, and this Patriots defense becomes literally unstoppable. Because if you can't get pressure on that quarterback, then this secondary is going to struggle more than it did last season. Something else that they would get with Frank Clark is not something you have with Adrian Claiborne, where he could only rush the passer. He couldn't stop the run, he couldn't contain the quarterback, anything like that. He was just a guy who came in and was only able to apply pressure. You trade for Frank Clark, and you're getting a guy who can stop the run and actually get to the quarterback with good pressure, but not only apply pressure, but actually result in sacks, which is something Adrian Claiborne also could not do. So I guess the big question is this even logical? Is this something the Patriots could actually do? And the answer to that is possibly. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure how willing the Seahawks are to, actually trade him, but this has been a rumor going on for a long time. A lot of people in the NFL think they could. It's something that is very reasonable. It makes a lot of sense. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots were one of those teams that was willing to actually trade for someone like Frank Clark. I mean, especially when they have the draft capital in order to do so, and the Seahawks are looking to add draft capital. But that is it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I thought it was a really interesting topic, something that really went back to the Patriots pretty well when you look at their needs and you look at what they have, and then you look at, the Seahawks and what they need and what they have. So what do you guys think about this whole situation? Do you think that, the Seahawks are even willing to trade Frank Clark? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, and then also let me know if you would even want to trade for him, and if you do want to trade for him, what would you be willing to give up? Alright guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, as it helps me and the channel out very much. Make sure you guys go check out my Instagram. I'll leave that in the description box below. Make sure you guys share this video with everybody else who can go to the Patriots Global family. And other than that, I will catch you guys in another video.